Hi, I'm Anna Mitchell from Sacred Heart Catholic Radio in Cincinnati, Ohio, and happy to welcome Brian Hickey, the Executive Director of the Catholic Conference of Ohio, which represents the Catholic Church in Ohio on matters of public policy, with all the bishops of Ohio on the board of directors. Brian, it's good to see you.
Great to be here, Anna. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. So, Brian, we're going to be talking about issue 1 on the November ballot here in Ohio. It's a proposed constitutional amendment, the right to reproductive freedom with protections for health and safety, which on the surface sounds really nice, I think. And I want to start with an issue that it seems to me would be the most compelling reason for a person of goodwill who may not be so comfortable with abortion, but might feel compelled to vote yes on issue 1. And that's because of the issue of miscarriage care. So I'm going to read the part of the amendment that talks about this. It says, every individual has a right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including but not limited to decisions on contraception, fertility, continuing one's own pregnancy, miscarriage care, and abortion. So what would be your response to somebody who might be inclined to vote for this amendment because they want to ensure that women in Ohio can actually receive miscarriage care and not have it somehow taken away?
That's one of the misleading aspects of this amendment. No state in the country, including Ohio, restricts access to miscarriage care. So, God willing, if this amendment does not pass, miscarriage care will still be allowed in every hospital. And of course, we know Catholic hospitals do not perform abortions, but they are able to do miscarriage care at all stages of pregnancy and really assist the women both medically and emotionally if a traumatic event like a miscarriage occurs. So that's absolutely not the case. It's misleading, and it doesn't have anything to do with the implications of this amendment.
Okay, so miscarriage is obviously not going to be illegal in Ohio, whether or not this amendment were to pass. But what about ectopic pregnancies? Can you talk about that? Because a lot of people are concerned about that as well.
Catholic hospitals treat ectopic pregnancies, which need immediate treatment for the women. Of course, we don't consider that an abortion. Ectopic pregnancies would be able to be treated Catholic hospitals, any other hospitals, no matter the restrictions on abortion.
Okay, so with that said, then I want to look at some other things. It starts by saying every individual has a right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions. What's wrong with that language?
So reproductive decisions can mean many things. Of course, this amendment is about abortion, and we know that the proponents of this amendment also consider reproductive decisions to mean other things, whether that be for teens or adults who suffer with gender dysphoria. They put that in the category of reproductive decisions. But the other key word in that line itself is the word individual. And nowhere in the amendment itself does it have the word woman. You'll hear a lot about protecting women's rights, protecting women's access to reproductive freedom, but nowhere in the amendment itself does it have the word woman. And by using the word individual instead of woman, it can mean anyone. So a minor, a 15-year-old girl, could be able to access an abortion without their parents' knowledge or consent.
Wow. But I want to talk about, even though women aren't specifically mentioned in here, which is kind of ironic in its own right, why do you think this amendment would be harmful to women?
Of course, as Catholics, we believe that abortion does not help women. Abortion is the intentional killing of a human being, and that can never help women. But this amendment really goes farther, and that's where we've heard folks that would consider themselves pro-choice to be against this amendment. So currently, women have to give informed consent before they have an abortion. They have to be close to a hospital if something goes wrong during the abortion procedures. All those could be eliminated under the line that there can be no burdens to a woman's access to reproductive freedom or abortion, whatever term you want to use.
Wow, and that would then go to for minors, people under the age of 18, without their parents' consent.
That's exactly right. An individual, it doesn't say adult, and again, they cannot be burdened. So if a 17-year-old girl is pregnant, she's scared, she doesn't want to tell her parents who might be able to help her and give her resources, she could go straight to the abortion clinic and receive an abortion.
Well, and another issue that has come up, so proponents of issue 1 say that this is basically putting in place the provisions of Roe v. Wade, and that abortion would be legal in Ohio up to the point of fetal viability. But the Catholic Conference of Ohio said that this amendment would enable abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. So how is that the case?
We know that most Ohioans oppose abortion after fetal viability and in late stages of pregnancy. But there are key words in the amendment itself that open the door to abortion at any time during pregnancy. And those are when it references a woman's health. It doesn't say physical health, it just says health. In 1972, there was a US Supreme Court case called Doe v. Bolton, and that defined a woman's health as meaning all sorts of things. If an abortion providing physician says she's struggling with mental health issues or emotional issues, that abortion providing physician could justify that as doing an abortion procedure. And later on in the amendment itself, it also clarifies very clearly that the abortion providing physician can decide for himself or herself whether the baby in the woman's womb is going to be viable. That just removes all restrictions whatsoever that Ohio can enforce for when unborn children can be protected.
Okay, now just setting aside all of the issues for just a second, I mean, is the Ohio Constitution the place for something like this, laws on abortion in Ohio?
We would say no, of course. To get a law passed in Ohio, it has to generally go through a committee process at the Ohio State House. So you have medical experts going up to testify. You have all sorts of people from all sorts of professions who are experts going to speak to lawmakers, and lawmakers deliberate on what laws you should pass. And it's an ongoing process. You can amend laws to make them better, make them safer. But if this goes into the Ohio Constitution, it's going to be very, very difficult or even impossible to amend it.
Well, and of course, the aspersion gets thrown in the face of pro-lifers a lot that they're anti-woman. So can you just close our conversation today, Brian, talking about all of the outreach that the Catholic Church provides to women who find themselves in unplanned or crisis pregnancies?
Yes, Anna, thanks so much. There are Catholics around the world, and of course, specifically in Ohio, who are accompanying women in hard pregnancies, unexpected pregnancies, whether they be with our Catholic charities or with our Catholic parishes in walking with moms in need. So many of our parishes do a great job. If a woman comes into the parish and is seeking help, those parishes will give that woman resources, and they will also direct her to other places where she could receive more sustaining help as well. And of course, I have to say, as the Catholic Conference of Ohio, we represent all the bishops in public policy. We are continually advocating for more structural support for women, pregnant women, women who have young families, to receive more support from the state. So in this recent state budget, we are advocating for an expansion of Medicaid. So middle class and lower class women who are pregnant and have just given birth, they will continue to receive support for their medical care. We're very excited to help push through a doula program funded by the state of Ohio. Doulas will be able to walk with women, accompany women throughout their pregnancy, especially those in communities that don't have a lot of resources. So they have everything that they need. They could be referred to different places. so that they can have a healthy baby and be counseled through those young parenting stages. So it's a work in progress, but there's great work being done by the Catholic Church, and we're continuing to advocate for more from the state of Ohio.
And again, you're wanting a no vote.
No vote on issue 1 to protect parents' rights and to, of course, protect preborn children, so that we may focus on protecting women and giving them the resources they need to thrive.
Brian Hickey, Executive Director of the Catholic Conference of Ohio. Really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Anna.
And be sure to share this video with others so that they can also be educated on issue 1. Thank you so much for joining us.